one last thing. Hey, thanks for tuning in to another video, guys. Today we're going to be tying in um, this cool little rubber-legged hare's ear. So it's essentially just a regular hare's ear, and we're attaching some rubber legs. And I change up some of the materials just to give it a little bit more of a buggier touch, in my opinion. So we're going to get started here. What I have in the hook is a size 14 nymph hook, and that's accompanied by a gold tungsten bead. If I do forget any of the ingredients or recipe, I'll be sure to link those in the description below, so be sure to check that out. For my thread, I'm just going to be using some brown 70 denier by UTC. We're going to get started right behind the bead here. We're going to work our way back towards the bend of the hook. Now for the tail, again, traditionally you would use like just a hare's mask kind of for the whole fly, but I like to mix it up a little bit when I can. And I'm actually using an entire, this is coming from a ringneck pheasant skin. This is a natural. And I selected a feather here that just got some really cool patterns to it. And that's kind of why, that's the only reason why I selected this. So yeah, mix it up, use what you want. But for this pattern, again, gonna use this, keep the tips aligned. So I'll go about 3/4 the hook shank length. And that looks about right there. Knock those in and nip off my butt ends. Keep them there to help build up my taper to the body. Okay, I'm going to stop there about by the hook point. I'm going to tie in some tinsel here. This is small gold oval uni French, not necessarily tinsel. Going to tie that onto the near side of the fly here. Right up to my tail. And I'm just going to build a little bit of a taper, my body, my thread, and then work my way back. For the body, I'm going to stick with some hare's ear. I have some blended up. I'm just going to grab a chunk of this. It is very light in weight, so if you find it easier to wax your thread ahead of time, please do so. I'm just going to do 1.5 to 2-inch noodle here, and I'm going to keep this noodle pretty darn tight. So that I have full control of the wraps. And then I do want to build onto that taper. This looks like I need a smidgen more here. It's good there. Might be a little bit too forward facing, but I can go back with my thread when we tie on the wing case. And I'm just going to counter wrap with my ribbing here. Nice evenly spaced wraps. Gonna do 2 in the front here, 2 in the back, 1 more just to be safe. Keep off your tagging. So now the fun part comes in, and we want to start thinking about our thorax section and our wing case and how big you want it. I kind of like my bodies a little bit longer. I did do it too short in this one, so I'm going to bring my thread back further till I see about three ribbing segments in that body at least. Nice. I'm going to come back a little bit further. Now we're ready to tie on our wing case. For that, I'm just using some turkey, and I'm going to use some of this longer stuff. You want to cut off a section at least the width of the hook gap. Doesn't need to be dead on. I do like bigger wing cases. I think it helps showcase the fly a bit better. Now, if you notice also on this turkey, you have this great lead, like this super mottled patterning near the stem, and then it kind of goes black near the tips. I don't want that. I want this stuff to really show up on the fly, so I'm going to tie that in from where I cut it off on the stem here, and I'm going to start there. So I'm just going to place that on the top. I'm going to do a loose wrap. Just make sure that is centered. Then I can do a quick little glance to see where that stands to the body. I'm going to go back just a little ways more. There we go. All right, and I'm going to secure that all down, trying to keep a nice even foundation here for my thorax and my legs. I'm going to stop just about halfway in that thorax. For the legs, we're just going to be using some Spanflex. I like this yellow or ginger color for this color variation, but if you're tying like an olive version, then I would kind of mix and match and try with an olive colored Spanflex. I'm just going to do 2 collecting wraps. Make sure that's in position. I'm going to grab one from my other side here. Same thing, 2 collecting wraps. Make sure they're looking the way I want them to. And then some tighter turns. Now I'm going to end my thread actually behind these back legs. That is where I'm going to start my thorax. For the thorax, I'm going to stick with the hare's ear, but if you notice on a hare's mask, they got tons of different colors and shades. So I've sort of pre-raked out the hairs and then blended them up, and I'm going to go with a darker I guess area of the hare's mask. And this one I'm going to do a longer noodle, tight and thicker. I do want to have a little, I guess, bulbous area for the wing case to sit on. It also kind of over time, especially as you start to fish it, this dubbing is going to get loose and it's going to give a really buggy um, appearance of like legs coming out. So your flies will get beat up, that's for sure. So I got about a 2.5, 3 inch noodle here. And I'm going to leave it like that. And I think I like it like that because I can always add more. It's easier to add more. Bring this back. Do some nice, good tight wraps in the back. And I'm also going to take this opportunity to use the dubbing to help position my legs even further. I'm going to bring my back legs back. See where that stands. That looks good. And that's looking good there. So now I'm going to end my thread in front of the legs right behind the bead. I'm just going to build up my thread there a little bit. And I'm going to bring over my wing case. Now this doesn't need to be super perfect because we're going to cover it up with some UV resin, give it this really kind of wet, slimy look. I'm just going to spread that out a bit. Just kind of press over it. It'll spread for you. So I'll lock that in the front. Now come in here nice and as close as possible. I'm going to save that for the next fly. Just going to clean up a little bit of these strands that I left. We're almost done. So now I'm going to do a little whip finish. Now these legs, man, I've fished them with some pretty long legs and they're kind of just as good as ones with short legs, but we're going to trim these up just a bit. I do like them long. Tons of movement. So what I'll do is I'll kind of sweep up all four to get them as even as possible. And I'm going to start with a short trim just to sort of see where they're at. And we'll go a little bit more. That's good there. Yeah, I like that. Now, to finish off the fly, we're just going to grab some UV thin. Just enough to cover up the wing case. And the thread wraps. You know, that turkey will absorb it pretty darn quickly. Make sure my legs are good. Now, when working with UV, I do find for certain patterns, just putting down a base, a very, very thin base of UV will help if you want to actually like create shapes and kind of sculpt it. So I'm going to do that now. So I have a thin base now, and I'm going to create a little bit more of a bulb on this wing case. And you're going to see it kind of just comes out much smoother and kind of really pops now, almost like got like a magnifying glass appearance. Kind of good right there. And that's it. That is the rubber-legged hare's ear. Wicked, wicked pattern. One of my favorites. Give it a shot. Mix it up different colors. Obviously, like olives, browns, and go nuts with the legs, man. That's what I think. That's what makes this fly equally as effective as the regular hare's ear. But this one is one of my favorites to fill up my box. Give it a shot, and appreciate you guys watching. Stay tuned for the next one. Appreciate all your support. Stay tuned for the next one, guys. Cheers.